Hello and welcome to the video. This video is about FPV Fixed Wing Simulator, a new one in fact that's not been out very long. It's called Wings, and I've had my hands on it for a couple of weeks and been having a whale of a time. I wanted to kind of share it with you because I actually really think this is a good piece of software. Now, using a simulator, particularly when the weather's not great or when you're new to a particular part of the hobby, can save you a fortune in terms of broken models. I learned back in the day an awful lot of my stick skills on a simulator called Phoenix RC. Sadly, Phoenix isn't around anymore, but a lot of the simulators that have been coming out recently haven't really taken the place. What I really like, for those of you that watch the channel, you'll know that I love to fly FPV on fixed wing, particularly things like this. So things like, the Drax, things like this ZOHD Dart that's got the Brain FPV stuff in it, things like the E-Wings Black Hawk, things like the AR Wing Pro. I love that stuff. I love the fact that you can fly around and have such a fun time. Now, there's some big differences if you're coming from a multi-rotor background into flying fixed wing. And actually I did a video about that. I'll put a link down below. But very briefly, two of the big ones that I tend to find catch multi-rotor pilots out. First of all is you don't use your rudder to turn. You obviously, it's called bank and yank. Use the aileron or roll to tilt the wings and then the elevator to kind of help speed that up. If you are going for an obstruction, typically a multi-rotor pilot, as we're flying along and you think, oh, I'm going to clip the top of that tree, you can blip the throttle and rise above the problem. It doesn't work with a fixed wing either, just makes you hit the tree faster. And the last one is central gravity. Central gravity on things like fixed wing is mega important. It makes the difference between the thing flying at all, flying okay, or flying brilliantly. And again, central gravity is not something that if flying a quad we tend to think a lot about. So having a simulator that would allow you to access and play with FPV on a fixed wing in a large open environment is something that I've been after for a long time, and Wings appears to be it. Now, this is some footage from my computer. It isn't ideal, I'll be honest with you. The reason is because I'm having to turn down the graphics settings because I'm also using my screen capture software at the same time, and it's pushing my 5-year-old graphics card just a little bit too hard. But while I'm flying around and giving you an idea, in here there is the ability to fly freeform and also fly with friends as well, in both kind of race style environment where you can post your times, and also in free fly, which is the way I'm enjoying it at the moment. You can have up to 16 pilots per room, so you can fly with friends. Having the little tracer things on, you can turn those on so that you can find it easier to chase your friend around, and as you saw in the beginning, that's something that me and my friends do when we tend to fly with Wings. We do tend to play follow the leader around the sky, and that's a huge amount of fun. In this Wing simulator, there's over 12,000 acres to fly over with 3 maps, and there's 40 race tracks to fly on. Of course, you can just plug in your modern radio, use a USB controller, and the only thing you have to do is I would add, as well as the 4 main controls, a button to reset it, and you can optionally have a button for flaps if you're going to fly one of the models that isn't your classic kind of race wing or things like this Capaina. At the moment there are 21 craft in here, and they seem to be quite closely related to the people that have been involved in supporting this simulator getting off the ground. Now, I love the fact that there are huge environments to fly around in. It is very similar to the way that I personally like to fly out in the countryside with my mates. The on-screen displays you've probably spotted. If you are a Brain FPV pilot, that will look very familiar. The on-screen display, and you can decide whether or not you want the FPV or third-person display. The line of sight stuff is actually quite handy if that's something you want to practice your orientation with, but this for me is a perfect way to get into FPV in fixed wing. But at the moment there isn't the basic OSD that you get in lots of other flight controllers. It's just the Brain FPV one, although checking with the developers it sounds like that is coming. You could of course plug this into your goggles via a HDMI lead for the complete immersive experience, but I found actually flying it on a laptop still gives the same kind of immersive experience. You just get absorbed in the flying and trying to make that gap between the trees, and you don't worry too much about the fact that you're looking at it on a monitor. I like the fact that it's online, can fly with friends. You can either join an existing game or you can set a game up and add kind of a key phrase password so that you and your friends can get together and fly around. That means that potentially when the weather's horrific over the next 2 or 3 months in the depths of winter here in the UK, if my mates have the sim, then I can still fly with them. You can post times on the pre-built race courses. That's quite a cute idea. The race courses are laid out. That's not particularly the way that I like to fly, although I find the race wing really fun to fly in the game. It's very responsive and kind of feels right to me. I'm just having a whale of a time just exploring all of that open area. And quite nicely, they have included the option to move the CG on the plane, not massively, but it does allow you to kind of tweak it to get the kind of responsive and reactions that you would get in a real fixed wing model. And you also potentially need to trim the model too, using the trims on the radio. That's quite a cute little trick. Again, something that quadcopter pilots don't tend to have to do if you're using something like Betaflight or iNav on your quad. There's only a couple of things that I'll draw your attention to on this. This is an application that needs quite a bit of horsepower. This is a video, I'll play it now, direct from the developer that shows it running on a high-end PC with all the bells and whistles turned on. And it looks fantastic. But you do need quite a beefy PC to run it on with all the bells and whistles turned on. So there is a frame rate checker available on the website that you can download for free and run it on your computer to just check the frame rates that you're going to get. And I really like that idea. It means that you're not going to buy this thing and then potentially find out that it isn't going to work for you. I would like more planes, I'd like more environments, and I'd like more turbulence. At the moment there isn't any wind effect at all. You can point your fixed wing at a particular point on the ground or in the air, and so long as you've trimmed it okay, then it'll fly exactly to there. So you don't get pushed around. Apparently, talking to the developers, that again is coming. And I'd welcome that because that's something in real life that you are going to get, and to be able to simulate it would be helpful if you are using this to kind of cut your teeth. Looking forward to having other versions of the on-screen display and a customizable on-screen display. Not a lot of pilots want all that information. Some of us just literally want the direction, distance to home, height, speed, and battery and time status. That's how I tend to fly, and having that ability to make it look like my craft that I fly in real life would be very nice. So this at the moment is only about $36, and one of the big crashes that I had this year, I destroyed a Runcam hybrid, and the battery that was behind it, it nosed in and the battery slid forward, deformed and destroyed the battery and destroyed the camera. So that was about £150 worth of crash, not counting the extra things that I had to fix on the nose. It wasn't this model, it was another one. Yes, it does happen to me occasionally. But having something like this, £36 could be quite a cute way to get a simulator, have a go, and get used to flying a fixed wing FPV, so when you try it for real life, then you know what you're doing. Or like me, if in the depths of winter where it's blowing a gale and hailing and the snow coming down, then I could, if my mates are around online, we can jump on wings and have a go. So links in description if you're interested in this. My advice would be, if you're a fixed wing pilot and like FPV, or if you're line of sight and you want to try FPV, or you might be a quadcopter pilot and want to try fixed wing FPV, this is a really consequence-free way of giving it a go. Thank you for watching my video and watching right to the very end. If you want to find out what I'm currently working on, you can follow me on social media by searching for Painless360 in the usual places. If you'd like to become part of the inner circle, then you can become a Patreon. Details are in the description and you get lots of additional benefits. Check out the playlist section on the channel too. I organise all of my videos into playlists, and it's called something like Introduction to or for Beginners. All of the content is aimed so that you can start at the very beginning, and it teaches you that subject, starting with simple principles and moving up to teach you everything you need to know.